While speeding and parking tickets are pretty common everywhere, some people in Switzerland have received odd fines for breaking weird rules. These are some of them. It is no surprise to anyone living here that Switzerland has plenty of rules, both written and unwritten, for practically everything, including how to boil a lobster humanely. There is no readily available data about how many cooks have broken this law since it was implemented in 2018, or what the fines for these infractions were, but there is enough evidence for how people who violated other regulations were punished. Whether for odd things or not, the Swiss love to issue fines. Last year, the Swiss had to pay CHF 936 million in fines, an amount which goes up every year. The following probably wouldn't add up to almost 1 billion francs, but they are real fines which have been issued in Switzerland. Here's some of the best. A German tourist fell while riding a bicycle in Schaffhausen and broke his ribs. However, instead of empathy for the injuries he suffered, cantonal authorities slapped the man with a 150 franc fine for losing control of his vehicle, even though the only damage his fall inflicted was to himself and not to Schaffhausen's residents or infrastructure. After refusing to pay the fine, the tourist was sentenced to 2 days in jail. The whole experience, he said, was obviously not very favourable for the image of Swiss tourism. Being fined for speeding seems fair enough, but what about if you drive slowly? A 66-year-old driver was stopped by police earlier this year after receiving an anonymous call that a car was driving too slowly on a steep mountain road. The car in question was hauling an enclosure with a horse in it, so the man drove cautiously on a narrow and winding Julia Pass in the Swiss Alps. Once he descended, the police gave him a 780 franc ticket for driving too slowly, a fine he is now appealing. "I just don't understand what's going on in this world," the Bern resident commented. As the local reported in January, the 72-year-old man took the train from Lenzburg to Hunsenschwil in the canton of Aargau. He wanted to buy his ticket online before getting on, but my phone did not recognize me at first because of the mask, and then my glasses fogged up, he said. He was finally able to complete the transaction when already on the train, with the ticket purchased 1.5 minutes after departure. But after having his ticket checked, the man received a 90 franc fine for not paying the fare before getting on the train. The situation is all the more ironic as he has been a loyal customer of Swiss Federal Railways, SBB, and season ticket holder for 57 years. The pensioner took this incident in good stride. "Being considered a fare dodger at his age amuses me, but only moderately," he said. In Switzerland, jaywalking is not taken lightly. In a peculiar incident, a man was slapped with a 60 franc fine for crossing the road without using a crosswalk. The man tried to reason with the authorities, stating that the nearest crosswalk was a good 100 meters away and it was late at night. However, his arguments fell on deaf ears as the fine was upheld by the Swiss authorities. So, next time you're in Switzerland, remember to always use the crosswalk, no matter how far it is or how late it is. Because in Switzerland, rules are rules, and they are meant to be followed, no matter how odd they may seem. Switzerland doesn't just have rules for the road, even laundry has its own regulations. In a peculiar incident, a woman was fined a hefty 100 franc for hanging her laundry out to dry on a Sunday. Unaware of the rule that strictly prohibits laundry hanging on this day of rest, the poor woman was taken aback when she was presented with the fine. Despite her surprise and protest, she had no choice but to pay up. So if you're planning a trip to Switzerland, make sure to do your laundry on any day but Sunday, because in this pristine country, even your laundry schedule could land you in hot water.